Hello and welcome to the first ever Global Tomato Congress here in Rotterdam, where we're going to be having a chat with a very special guest, Mr. Jan Doldersum from Rijk Zwaan. Welcome to you. You're the chain and retail manager there. We just heard your presentation, which was absolutely fascinating. And I'd like to start by asking you a bit about what you see as the major trends in the tomato market at the moment. Do you see this as a market that is still ripe for further growth?
I think so too. We saw in the beginning of the morning presentation about the volume versus value discussion. So maybe in volume in markets it might be difficult, but the trade up in terms of value is definitely there. So there is a need for new packaging types, new smaller types with different flavors. So there's definitely growth. But what we also see as one of the growth trends is local for local. So there are a lot of investments made in markets around the Netherlands, so in Germany, in Austria, but even in Poland, in England. And that also, this need for transparency and closer by, I think that also is one of the triggers for increasing consumption.
So when you talk about that local trend, is there actually much difference in the flavour of tomatoes grown in local regions? Is it more a branding and marketing exercise?
Yeah,
really?
I think it's more to do with the trends also for close by transparency, not per se on flavour, because we are using similar varieties in the different regions. So I think it's definitely more linked to people would like to know where the food is coming from. Yeah. I think it really resonates on that trend. Yeah.
In the UK, we're seeing much more of a trend towards people trading up to more premium varieties. Yeah. Is that something that you think growers should be looking at, or is there still very much an important part of the market for the more standard varieties too?
Yeah, I think as a company, more and more you need to specialize. So I think you cannot, as a grower, you cannot do both. So either you focus on the commodities, your price entry market, which is really still the big volume, still also if you heard it from Stefan Weiss, from the top number 1 and 2 sellers are still the cheapest in terms of pricing. So there is definitely there's price sensitivity of customers are there. But I think there is definitely also room for new types. And as I said, as a company, you need to specialize. So yes, there is still a big trend in terms of highly effective, big grow operations, 12, 20, 30 hectares on one block, but also a room for more diversification. And then only just a new variety is not enough anymore. So you need to tell the story behind that product. So it can be the different packaging, but also I think in terms of what's in the tomato, what really is the motivation of growers to produce that.
Yeah, most definitely. And this is a very mature market, but there's still quite a lot of innovation going through. At Rijk Zwaan, is there any new innovation that you can tell us about in this category?
Yeah, I think we focus on different parts in terms of our breeding, like I think many other seed companies do as well. But at Rijk Zwaan, breeding resistances is still one of the key issues. And knowing that still the use of allowance of less pesticides, so you need to have really good resistant varieties. And I think what is other is also more robust varieties, for instance, for organic production. I think that is also definitely a trend. And of course, we need to diversify. And what is still a trigger and what also intrigues us is the motives of buying. So why are they trading up? So what is really the key driver for that? So that's why we as Rijk Zwaan also invested in a retail center in Berlin, where we do really research in terms of understanding the path to purchase. And and I think there's still a lot of room for this diversification in colors and shapes. And I think we need another, especially the cherry on the vine is a huge segment. And how can we have a new one like that?
Yeah. And how do you see the sweetness elements? Because we heard from one of the speakers this morning, don't obsess over sweetness. Yeah. It does feel like in every category of fruit and vegetables at the moment, it's all about getting sweeter, sweeter, sweeter. Yeah. But as he said, its taste doesn't always equal sweetness. How do you see that?
Yeah, I completely agree. It's the complete aroma and flavor. So that means also a typical acidity or a lemon taste. So in fact, if we develop new varieties, especially new colors, actually every color of the tomato should have a different taste profile. and describing that well. I think that's also important, and I completely agree. It's not. I mean, we can reach up to now 12 bricks. I mean, that's just there is a maximum. So you need other elements, and I think one of the issues is also, as I said, the nutritional content. But I think was also mentioned this morning. So the Americas are much stronger, and also Asia are much stronger in communicating this.
Yeah. And you mentioned the snacking elements as well. Do you feel there's further headroom in that area in terms of getting people to buy packs that are portable and just to keep them in their bags or whatever it may be?
Yeah, portable, and especially as a second placement in the retailer, so at the cash out cashiers or at on-the-go stations, or I think on the move trend. And definitely for kids, so I showed a picture of my son, and they are really enjoying tomatoes as really as a fruit. Yeah.
Which is particularly encouraging to hear, because we heard from the first speaker, Joe Shaw-Roberts from Kantar, that actually, in the UK at least, I'm not sure about the other countries, but kids undertrade in terms of eating tomatoes, which I find quite surprising.
Yeah. I think there is, but I would like to know how they measure this, because you never know how much of the tomatoes are eaten by children. So I would like to see that type of research done in terms of families. So if we buy every week at least 1 kilogram of snack tomatoes, and the most of it is eaten by our children.
Yeah, indeed.
So I think it's interesting to have a look in that type of research.
Yeah, well, it does seem to be a product that's very well suited to children, at least. Looking a bit more globally now, you're an expert in China, and you've just given a very interesting talk on the Chinese market. Which markets do you feel are ripe for more expansion of consumption of tomatoes, where there's more headroom for that?
I think in terms of if you look at the global developments, South America is one of our important growth markets. Obviously China, but I would say Asia in general. Yeah. And you see really a change of open field to mid-tech, so the simple tunnel greenhouses, and from mid-tech to high-tech. And I think we will see a big impact in that, and that automatically means we call it more with less. So that means better water management, less fertilizers, less pesticides. I think that is a key issue. So if we have a more closed environment, you can better steer and control your climate. That will also happen in those countries.
Yeah. Pesticide reduction is definitely a big issue in the industry at the moment, and another big issue also on the environmental spectrum is packaging and packaging reduction. And how do you see that difficult balance between reducing plastic packaging in tomatoes and the importance of maintaining a good shelf life?
Yeah, and that is really a challenge, and what I also do not understand, why tomatoes and, for instance, cucumbers are so much even in the media as being mass users of plastics. If you look in the meat industry or the chips or whatever, or the convenience in general, everything is plastic is being used. So I think sometimes I feel a bit why, but retailers need to react. And what's happening now? So if you look at the 3R strategy from packaging, so you need to either reduce, remove, or recycle. And I think, and all of the aspects you need to work on, and so reduce by either thinner plastics or by a top seal, which is already happening a lot in the US, and now you see now more top seal packaging coming as well here, and then replace is also by changing plastics to carton. So more and more you see now also carton boxes or carton displays being used.
Yeah, it's an issue that's definitely not going to go away. And finally, we're here at this excellent venue here in Rotterdam, nearly 300 attendees, as I mentioned. Why is it important for you to be here and to support the event as well? Yeah,
as Rijk Zwaan, we are literally a stone throw away from this place. So De Lier is it's less than 20 kilometers, so we cannot be here. We cannot be here, so we need to be here, and so that's one of the reasons. But secondly, I think this is really a global tomato congress. It's the first time, you said, and as being the specialist and the innovator, We would also like to show what knowledge we have, what types of information we can share, and of course for the networking part. Yeah. I think there are many. I saw people already from South Africa, Australia, USA. So literally, it's a global event. And we invited quite some colleagues from Rijk Zwaan to also be present here to interact with our customers. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Jan Doldersum, for your time. I really appreciate it. Okay. And join us again throughout the day for further talks at the Fresh Talks stage.